sit as a senior representative on that investigation committee?
I have left the investigation to a prominent inquiry commission, and they are free to invite anybody they want, including foreign observers, to observe the investigation.
Yeah, but they haven't done that, have they? And it's interesting that you appointed as chairman the former defence minister from the government of the former, it has to be said, autocratic President Gayoom, who of course is the bitter enemy of former President Nasheed. I just wonder again how that can be a really independent committee of inquiry.
No, this gentleman who is chairing it has been living abroad for some time now, and he has not been involved in politics locally, and the rest of the members in it are also not involved in politics. It is very hard. It's a very small community, and it's very hard to find respectable people to serve on these kind of committees. It took some time. We shared the first names with also Mr. Nasheed's party. We didn't get a response to it, and therefore we had to go and set up the commission.
But Mr. Waheed, you are President of the nation now. If you were to say on this programme, on Hard Talk, that you believe it's only right and proper that a senior figure from outside the Maldives, from the international community, should sit as an active representative on this investigation committee to discover what really happened during the transfer of power, that would carry weight. Are you prepared to say it here and now?
Yes, I will support it. I will support it, definitely.
So you want to see an outside overseas active participant sitting on the committee, not just an observer, but actually sitting on the panel?
I have no reservations about it. And as you know, we are working very closely with the Commonwealth right now. We have a Commonwealth Special Envoy who is arriving in Maldives in a matter of few hours, and we will provide all cooperation necessary to them.
The Commonwealth, you mentioned, also has called for a declaration that there will be early elections in the Maldives. Constitutionally, because you've taken over as president, you could, it seems, run your presidency all the way through to the autumn of 2013. But the Commonwealth, the European Union, the Indian government, and many others too have called on you and your country to make sure there's a fresh presidential election within months, as soon as possible. Are you prepared to say you will do that?
Look, Stephen, we have a constitution. According to the constitution, the election can be brought forward by 120 days. I have already said that I am prepared to support that. Clearly, any earlier election has to be approved by the Parliament, and some constitutional amendment has to take place. And for this, I have said the discussion should go into the Parliament now, and the Parliament should discuss these things, including what needs to be done in order to stabilize the situation so that we can have a free and fair election. I don't believe that we can have a free and fair election immediately, because, as you know, the supporters of Mr. Nasheed do not believe in any institutions of government except for Parliament. Even Parliament, they are currently refusing to open.
But Mr. Nasheed, as you know, he says the basic principle here is that he will not cooperate either in the convening of the Parliament or any other political dialogue until there is a clear commitment to early elections. And if you're saying the earliest the election can be is 120 days before October of 2013, that's not going to be early enough. He wants the elections this year at the very least.
Well, he can have the election this year if the Parliament approves an amendment to the Constitution. I am all for it, and I have already said that I will encourage and work with all political parties to achieve that, so that's what the Parliament wants.
When would you like to see the election, Mr. President?
As early as the Parliament wants.
Yeah, but when? Show some leadership here. You have taken the job. You are now the President. Tell me when you believe these elections could take place, the earliest moment.
You see, we have several political parties. This is not a dictatorship. I cannot decide myself. We have many political parties. I'm working with most of them, and they have to come to an understanding with MDP on a date. I'm not empowered to say this is the particular day in which we are going to have elections. This has to be worked out through discussion.
But are you now prepared to say, after we've seen all the chaos in the Parliament and the MDP and Nasheed supporters preventing the Speaker from actually convening the Parliament, you're prepared to say that the first order of business in the Maldives today has to be fixing early elections?
Absolutely.
Well, I dare say Mr. Nasheed will be pleased to hear that. What he won't be pleased about, and I know his supporters in the MDP party are not pleased about, is the degree to which you appear to have thrown in your political lot with the allies and the supporters of former President Gayoom, who many will remember as the 30-year president, an autocrat, who nobody could describe as a real Democrat. Why have you joined forces with him?
I have joined forces with many political parties. As you know, Mr. Gayoom's party is just one of them. There are 7 political parties. Every single active political party in Maldives is working with me. And why can't MDP work with us also? You know, at this time, the politics in Maldives is very divisive. And we have deep problems in the early days of democracy. We never expected you know, it to be so hard, but that's the way it is. And now I think even MDP and Mr. Nasheed must also work with everybody else. You know, they can't just have their way and nothing else. They have to also discuss these things. They can't start from the end point. The end result they want is an election day, and that's what they want to start with. How can a discussion continue that way? I expect them to lend some cooperation at least, so for the sake of this country.
But you ask the rhetorical question, why can't Nasheed show us some trust? Why can't he join the dialogue? Maybe because by throwing your lot in with Gayoom's people, he doesn't believe you're deserving of trust. Let's remember, Gayoom is the man who made him a prisoner of conscience, who in effect forced you into exile for years. Gayoom and his people are not committed to democracy, so why are you working with them?
It's not only, no, this is not true. It's not only Gayoom's people. As I said, there are 7 political parties involved here.
I heard you say that, Mr. President, but look at the reality. Your Home Affairs Minister was Gayoom's Minister of Justice. Gayoom's lawyer has become...
He was also Minister in Nasheed's cabinet.
Yeah, I know, but look at the list. Gayoom's lawyer becomes your Minister of Justice, his daughter becomes your Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, his youngest son becomes Minister of State for Human Resources. I mean, this is a close association.
And there are 14 members. There are 14 members in the cabinet, and 3 of them are from PPM, from Gayoom's party. The rest are from other political parties. So it is not fair to say that it's predominantly Gayoom's. In fact, you should know that Mr. Nasheed's closest allies were also members of Mr. Gayoom's cabinet earlier. His last foreign minister was a minister in Gayoom's government. His special envoy, Mr. Zaki, held many positions in Gayoom's cabinet. So it's unfair just to assume this country is a small country. Gayoom was ruling this country for 30 years. Most of the people who got education here went through higher education, went during his time. Government was the biggest employer. So almost everybody had some role in that government.
Well, here's what the Times of India said in an editorial the other day. Gayoom, quote, Gayoom clearly is pulling the strings behind the scenes in your government. That's their view. I suppose they're also basing that on what we see at the human rights record, for example. Amnesty International accusing your security forces in the last couple of months of beating civilian protesters, beating children.
Confrontations on the 8th of February. That was before I could even put together a cabinet. Mr. Nasheed came out on the street. The police and the law enforcement agencies abide by the Constitution and by the rule of law. Obviously, some of the things that have occurred here have also occurred in the past, during Nasheed's time as well. You know, the demonstrations that went on for 3 weeks, they were dispersed similarly. Of course, nobody made a big deal of it, but the pepper spray was sprayed in people's eyes. People were beaten. Those things happen. We have to have more training for police force, and we have to build confidence in the police force. There's no doubt about it. And these are the kinds of things that have to be done before we can have a free and fair election in the country.
Do you ever wonder in your perhaps darker moments that you have engaged in some sort of Faustian pact here by agreeing to become president in the wake of the demise of Nasheed? Because it is going to get very difficult. Your tourist numbers are down. Your own Tourism Industries Association reckons you're going to lose $100 million over the next 6 months. We see protests on the streets. We see continued unrest around the parliament. Things, it seems, in your country are going to get worse before they get better.
We have a situation here where it's Nasheed's way or no way. You know, all the political parties who are working with me, they represent the majority of the people in this country. They also have a voice, and we need to discuss and come to dialogue so that we can have some semblance of peace and stability on the streets of Mali. The only disturbances that are caused here are caused by Mr. Nasheed's supporters. And, you know...
But that's not true, Mr. President, is it? And if we're talking about inflammatory language, it's not just Nasheed's supporters who may be indulging in that from time to time. There are people who are now inside your coalition who are using very Islamic language, very inflammatory language, referring, for example, to the fact that Nasheed is involved in a devious plot to destroy the Islamic faith of the Maldives. Just strikes me that, again, you and your associates are playing with fire here.
No, this is an Islamic country, and there are fears that, you know, other religions might develop here, and so on. It's an Islamic country. There is a political party that represents Islamic values. They were also in Mr. Nasheed's cabinet, and you know, things haven't changed overnight.
Yeah, but to be plain, Mr. President, I want to pin you down on this. Do you disassociate yourself from this idea that Nasheed was involved in a devious plot to destroy the Islamic faith of your country?
You see, I have never accused him of that. Of course, there may be some people who accuse him of it.
No, but do you disassociate yourself from it?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have. And you know, but what you need to also understand is that just like in the United States, just like in Europe, there are political parties who represent religious values. That doesn't make Maldives a fundamentalist country.
How long is this very difficult phase in Maldives' current politics going to last, Mr. President?
I hope not too long, because we are in discussions. Even today I met with the parliament leader of Nasheed's party, and I have assured him that I will support any you know, decision of the parliament to hold early elections.